Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarashu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwaraha Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanitrambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Aim Reem Klim Chamundaye Viche. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 22nd of July 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the Hridaya Akash of every single being, in the heart of every being at all times, in all places. So, to continue from yesterday, we have been trying to examine by the grace of Shri Radhika Ji, the extraordinary truth of Navda Bhakti and Prem-Lakshana Bhakti. The Prem-Lakshana Bhakti is the intensity of devotion that does not fluctuate at all. It does not fluctuate because that Bhakti is piercing through the entanglement of Bahir Shakti, the material energy. The material energy of Paramatma, that is Bahiranga Shakti or Bahir Shakti, is where the Jivatma is stuck within that marginal energy. That marginal self is Tatastha Shakti, and it oscillates between a matter and spirit. It is an oscillation, right? So this Jivatma that is trapped inside the material Shakti is able to move out of that by the grace of Haladini Shakti, which is Radhikaji's Shakti, when the Jivatma, meaning the internal mechanism of the Antakarana, becomes magnetized by Radha-centric devotion. So you see this point here. This you can see that actually I've highlighted it here for you. Now look, to reach this stage of magnetized Radha-centric devotion is the entire point. Most of our lives, most human beings, as we are living, most human beings are living not God-centric devotion. Most of us are living centered around the vasanas that are within us, constantly pushing the Jivatma and entangling inside the material Shakti. That is how the Prakriti works. In the Gita there is a verse, Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagrati Sayami. Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutanam Ruddhe Shrirjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. Bhagwan Gita ji mein kehte hai, very interesting. The Ishvara here, you can interpret in several ways. One, it could just mean the Jivatma. It can also mean the Paramatma within the Jivatma, because they're always together, inside of our essential self. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Ruddhe Shrirjuna Tishtati, meaning it existing in the heart. The same Paramatma Tattva is within everywhere. But what is revolving around that Paramatma Tattva? Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. As a mechanism, as a yantra, as a mechanistic phenomena, the entire material creation is revolving automatically around the Ishvara. Now, how interesting is this? That is the Bahir Shakti. So the universes upon universes, galaxies upon galaxies, are all revolving around the Ishvara Tattva. So to realize the Ishvara Tattva, meaning Bhagavan, the doorway is Radha-centric devotion. It doesn't matter which language we use. You can use from any religion, any language you want. Bhakti is Bhakti and Ishvara is only one. Many paths, many words, many names. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. Love is only love. Love is not two different things. It's not that there is a Hindu love and a Christian love and a Vaishnava love and an atheistic love and a theistic. It's not like that. Love tattva to ek hi tattva hai. And that is the binding force of creation. That Prema Shakti, that Haladini Shakti, that Samvit Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, all these tremendous powers of Paramatma are what is the Leela of Bhagavan. So one way to understand this, particularly in terms of the Vaishnava Tattvagnan and theology, is that the creation of billions of universes is the Leela of Sri Krishna and Radhika ji. Unki Leela hai. ऐसी एक दृष्टि भी है. Right? And I'm trying to focus only on the Vaishnava theology as much as possible here. But other perspectives are also there. They do intersect. Even expansion, contraction. Yes, in one sense, each Jivatma, in some sense, is a contraction of Sri Krishna. In some sense. That's why it is Abhed. This is based on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji कहते हैं अचिंत्य भेद अभेद तत्व. उनका जो वेदांत का जो दृष्टि है, his interpretation of Vedanta sutras, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is called अचिंत्य भेद अभेद तत्व. अब इसका मीनिंग क्या है? अचिंत्य means we cannot understand or comprehend using any level of intelligence the identity and difference of Sri Krishna. Identity means what? Identity meaning bhed, abhed. Abhed means, maybe I didn't translate that right. Abhed means non-difference. I'm sorry. Abhed means non-difference. Bhed means difference. The difference and non-difference are inconceivable. Why is that? Well, who are we? When we consider ourselves, who am I? What am I? Well, I feel this body is here, this mind is here, these senses are here, so many things are here. Jivatma is there. Where did the Jivatma come from? The Jivatma is non-different from Bhagavan Krishna. That is the Abhed feature. But it is also different in another sense. That is the Tatastha Shakti feature. So the Jivatma are how many? Infinite in number. Now the best analogy that we can understand is about the sun and the photons coming from the sun. You know, in our scientific lore, we can certainly see, we can certainly understand that there are infinite number of photons coming from the sun. Infinite number of photons, photonic energy. Is the photon the same thing as the entire sun? Well, qualitatively, the photon is not different from the sun. The ray that is coming from the sun is only another aspect of the sun. But in another sense, the sun is always beyond that ray. So this is more from Vishishtadvaita point of view, that it is called Sharir Shariri, Ramanujacharya. If you compare Ramanujacharya with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will find the two, they're talking about the same thing, but it is described in a little different way. Ramanujacharya talks about Sharir Shariri. What is that? Shariri. Shariri is the one in embodying the body, embodying within the body. Like when we say Atma Tattva is the Shariri of the Shariri. Ye hamara sharir hai, main kaun hu shariri hu. I am the Jivatma, the Atma Tattva, different from the physical subtle causal body. That is called Shariri. Isko Atma ko Shariri kehte hai. ठीक है? Understand this at this point. Similarly, the Sharir of Paramatma is all of the Brahmand, Ananda Brahmand. Prakriti Purush. प्रकृति और पुरुष के नीचे जितनी सृष्टि है, इसको कहते हैं प्रकृति पुरुष का कार्य, और वो सब भगवान का शरीर है. Ramanujacarya. So what does this mean? It means that everything that exists for all Jivatma, all the Jivatma themselves, which are infinite, all of the matter that exists in the Brahmand, everything that exists is the body of Shriman Narayan. This is called Vishishtadvaitam. Now, Is this the same as Achinta Bheda Bhed Tattva? Again, with a lot of humility, Sachin would say, yes, it is, but it is just a different way of explaining the same tattva, the same truth. All acharyas are only talking about the same tattva, but they're talking about it based on their anubhav, their realization, or anubhav jo samadhi mein hota hai anubhav, when we go outside the vortex of the sukshma sharir, by the grace of Haladini Shakti, by the grace of Radha-centric devotion, by the grace of Shri Radharani, she takes the Jivatma out of the entanglement of the Bahiranga Shakti. उसमें से वो भक्त को बाहर निकाल देती है. So she takes the Jivatma out of the cycle of birth and death. And by taking her out, by taking the Jivatma out of that cycle, what is it that happens at this point? So in Jiva Goswami's dialectic, you can see it on the screen here, liberation is not the severance of relationship, but its intensification. It is an entrance into the subjective horizon of Samvit, powered by Haladini and secured through Sandhini. Let's understand this sentence. This is a jam-packed, loaded sentence. What is liberation? Liberation meaning mukti. Mukti is the intensification of the relationship with the feet of Sri Krishna Paramatma. भगवान श्री कृष्ण परमात्मा उनके साथ जो प्रेम है, रिलेशनशिप है, संबंध है, it becomes more and more solid. It intensifies to the point where there is an unbroken connection with Bhagwan Krishna. And that unbroken connection is what is meant by the intensification of the relationship. Liberation is not the severance of the relationship. Why is that point being made? Because many interpreters in Advaita Vedanta will say that, yeah, you can use bhakti as a purifier. And then eventually when you realize the Brahman, then there is no bhakti left at that point. There is no Paramatma separate from you or anything like that. To kiski bhakti karengi? So the bhakti stops there and there is only the one without a second. Advaita Vedanta mein mostly this is the idea. The Goswamis of the Vaishnava tradition would absolutely, emphatically disagree with this point. That is not the ultimate realization. If that happens, you will never see Bhagwan Krishna. You will be lost inside Brahman. It's called, in Vachanamrut mein bhi ye point likha hai, Brahma Shushupti. इसको कहते हैं. It is the effulgence. It is called Brahma Jyoti. गोलोक में से Brahma Jyoti निकलती है. And the Jivatma is the same Satchidananda as the Brahma Jyoti. So if you get lost in the Brahma Jyoti, there's no you anymore, and you cannot see Bhagwan Krishna also. You'll be finished. There's no you. It is according to the Vaishnava Acharyas, this is called spiritual suicide. Nirakara Brahman. But in the Advaita Vedanta, this is the goal in Advaita Vedanta. So, okay, well, if you want that, as Ramakrishna Paramahansa has explained both of these points. He said, if you want to go into that Nirakara Brahman, then there is no you. You become sugar. So you cannot experience the joy of bhakti by becoming Brahman. So this is why Bhagwan Swaminarayan, unhone kya kiya? He took all of these points together and he put a fusion of these together, of Shankaracharya ji, Ramanujacharya ji, Chaitanya, Vallabhacharya ji, everybody. He fused it together in one verse. Nijatmanam Brahmarupam Dehatraya Vilakshanam. Whole Advaita Vedanta is there. Yes, you should be one with Brahman. Why not? Absolutely. Why is that? That will take us out of the causal body, the Karana Sharira. And the description of the causal body is in Advaita Vedanta. It is not that much explicitly described in the Bhakti Sampradayas. Or even in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, the causal body is not that much expressed. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, the word Karana Sharira is not there actually. It is an interpretation that has come in Advaita Vedanta later on. Please understand this point. If you go through 700 verses of the Gita, you will not find anywhere there that there is a causal body. But it is implied. You cannot say it is not there. It is implied. I don't want to go into that right now. We don't have time. But where this concept of causal body comes from, it comes from the Advaitik Acharyas. So Shankaracharyaji's guru was Govinda Padacharya. His guru was Gauda Padacharya. Or wo jo sab parampara and other paramparas that are there in Advaita Vedanta have all talked about the causal body. And Bhagwan Swaminarayan, unhone kya kiya? He put this point as a very foundational point, that the causal body has to be destroyed. Because why is that? There is a very intense high-level metaphysics about Golok, which some other time we will have to, in some other recordings we'll talk about it. But I'll put it to you in simple language this way. Let's say Radhika ji blesses the Bhakta, and the Bhakta reaches 10th Bhakti, Prem-Lakshana Bhakti. We're talking about very advanced subjects here. The 10th Bhakti opens up, Akhanda Bhakti ho rahi hai. Body is still here. This body is still here. But if for some reason some aspect of the Karana Sharir remains, and you go into the Goloka Dham as a mukta, as a liberated being, and you see what is in the abode, the paraphernalia that is there. It is described in detail by many acharyas, and in Vedas maybe इसमें बहुत description है. वो इसमें क्या है क्या? Like if you go to the planet Venus or Jupiter or some planet, what is in the planet? There's material there. Similarly, in the abode of God, Vaikuntham, Shvetadvipa, Badrikashram, Goloka, we're talking about Golok here particularly. What is inside Goloka? So it is Chaitanya Bhumi. It is all Sandhini Shakti. The Sandhini Shakti has created the material inside Golok Dham. So for example, flowers. We have flowers here. There are flowers there. I was just reading this morning in Vachanamrut, Ahmedabad number 6. Ahmedabad is is a town obviously, but in the mandir, वहाँ एक मंदिर है, नर नारायण भगवान का मंदिर है, कालूपुर में. वहाँ महाराज ने सब वचनामृत, certain 8 vachanamruts were spoken there. In Ahmedabad number 6 vachanamrut, there's a description of this Golok Dham. And in there, the way it is described is absolutely same as the Vaishnava Acharyas have described, and in Vedas also it is described, that take a flower. If you take a flower, like what we have a flower here, like a rose, over there are infinite number of flowers, but not like these flowers. Those flowers are divine flowers, and those flowers are Chaitanya flowers, Chaitanya Pushpa. They are liberated beings taking the form of a flower. Think about this. Now this is not fantasy, it is not some imagination. Aisa nahi hai. If a bhakta here reaches 10th bhakti by the grace of Radha-centric devotion by Radhika ji's Krupa, and if the wish is there that you want to serve the Lord as a pushpa, the Jivatma takes the form of a pushpa. But because we offer flowers here, that shows up in divine way over there. And that happens by the Sandhini Shakti. Sandhini Shakti भगवान कृष्ण की कृपा से वो भक्त की इच्छा ऐसी है कि भगवान की सेवा ऐसी करनी है. सेवा मुक्तिश्च गम्यताम तत्र ब्रह्मात्मन कृष्ण सेवा मुक्तिश्च गम्यताम, कि भगवान श्री कृष्ण की भक्ति ऐसी करनी है. So when we cross the material world into Goloka, there are infinite number of these kinds of vibhuti. These are called, in Gujarati it is called Golokni Vibhuti. Now there's an interesting point about this causal body and what is written in the Vedas about this. That when the Jivatma reaches into Golok, and if the mind is deflected from Sri Krishna and Radhika ji into the vibhuti that is there, these extraordinary paraphernalia that is there, there are in extraordinary places. Again, we have to describe it in our terms. It is actually not describable. It is called anirvachaniya. But it is still described to give some indication that there are billions upon billions of transcendental items there. Like for example, in this world we have gems, right? We have gems and diamonds and extraordinary gems and diamonds, things like that. Waha alaukik sab gems and diamonds and those kinds of things are there. Whatever the topmost experience, the topmost homes we have, topmost places we have, it is billions and billions and times more than that. That is the vibhuti, the paraphernalia in the Golok Dham. Now I want to bring this point out. That if the mukta in the Golok Dham gets deflected from the bhakti of Sri Krishna into that paraphernalia, then Bhagwan Swaminarayan kehte hai on this point that that mukta can be thrown out of Goloka because some Karan Sharir is still remaining, and because of that will be born back into the Brahmand again. This statement exactly is like this in Vedaras. ये क्या लेवल की बात है? What we're talking about, this Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, ये अंतिम कक्षा, highest level की बात है ये. That the mukta that has gone into the abode of God can also come back into the Brahmand. Brahmand अनंत है. ब्रह्मांड के कोटान कोटि ब्रह्मांड in Gujarati. कोटान कोटि ब्रह्मांड गोलोक ની આજુબાજુ છે. From if you go into the Golok, from there easily the mukta can see billions of universes. Forget about this Webb telescope. That's absolutely nothing. वो तो कुछ भी नहीं है. Even if you see billions of galaxies, that's nothing but a fragment only. And that's still not seeing the whole picture. That is only just a very tiny, it is not even the fragment. It is a fragment of a fragment of a fragment. This material world that we're seeing. When we reach Nirvikalpa Samadhi, reach outside the entanglement of the three bodies, Sthul, Sukshma, Karan, and the bhakta reaches this extraordinary stage, वो यहाँ रहते हैं as a Jivan Mukta. But like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he's living here but he's not really here. As Gopalanand Swami, living here but not really here. As Raman Maharishi, living here but not really here. Here but not here. प्रकृति पुरुष के नीचे जितना है वो असत्य है. गरड़ा मध्य तरड़ी वचनामृत. प्रकृति पुरुष थी पर એવું જે શુદ્ધ ચૈતન્ય બ્રહ્મ તેને જ એક સત્ય જાણે વચનામૃત ગરડા મધ્ય તરડી. You see these points here, how they intersect. I know this is difficult to understand. It is very complicated at times intellectually, but it's not complicated in terms of devotion. इसका सारांश इतना है. We'll stop here because I do have to go somewhere at 8:30 here. सारांश इतना है. अखंड भक्ति, unbroken bhakti, and bhakti here and even in the liberated state bhakti. Now see, even while we are living here, glimpses of the divine abode might happen. Bhagavad Dham का दर्शन हो सकता है. Yes, those glimpses might happen. They will happen. You're sleeping at night time, you're sitting for meditation, and if the bhakti is in the tent, the bhakti, Bhagwan का दर्शन हो सकता है. Yes, ये सब धामों का दर्शन हो सकता है, चक्रों का दर्शन हो सकता है, अलौकिक दर्शन, सब लोक, different lokas. Not only that, there's a statement जिसको ब्रह्मचर्य सिद्ध हो गया है. भगत जी महाराज कहते थे, इन द BAPS गुरु परंपरा एक भगत जी महाराज हो गए. मैं रेफरेंस में देता हूँ, not to promote or to disconnect or to stay away from all that thing about these organizational divisive differences. Remove all that thing from the mind. I'm just giving this as a reference. वो गृहस्थ थे, but he was a brahmachari. And if you go to the Baptist temples, you will see the in white clothes he's there, Bhagat Ji Maharaj. तो वो क्या कहते थे that when a true brahmachari takes a bath, I'll close with this point, और वो भगवान के साथ लिंक है भक्त की. When a brahmachari takes a shower, takes a bath, the devatas from the Svarga Loka are standing in line to get the drops of water from that are fallen from the body of that bhakta. What a statement that is. Can we imagine this? इसकी ये क्या स्थिति है? Brahmacharya is next to impossible for anybody in this world. But जिसके जीवन में real brahmacharya सिद्ध हो गया है, chapter 8 of the Gita talks about this. And with that brahmacharya has akhanda upasana of Bhagavan Krishna, not the deflection from upasana. ऐसे जो भक्त है, when the shower is being taken, when a bath is taken, devtas from the Swarga Lokas, they are standing in line to take those drops falling from the body of the bhakta. कितनी स्थिति है ये इसको कहते हैं दिव्य आध्यात्म, इसको कहते हैं प्रेम लक्षणा भक्ति, इसको कहते हैं राधिका जी की कृपा, इसको कहते हैं दिव्य स्थिति, इसको कहते हैं ब्राह्मी स्थिति, इसको कहते हैं अलौकिक स्थिति, इसको कहते हैं भगवान की निश्चल भक्ति. और ऐसी स्थिति हमारी भी हो सकती है इफ वी वांट दैट. हमारे जीवन में क्या चाहिए? काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, मत्सर, आशा, तृष्णा, ईर्ष्या, अहंकार, ये सब ट्रैश कैन में छोड़ देना. ये सब ट्रैश कैन में, लेट इट बी बर्न्ड इन द ट्रैश कैन. इट हैज नो प्लेस इन द लाइफ ऑफ अ ट्रू भक्त. नन. इसका कोई स्थान ही नहीं है. इट इज, एज आई मेंशन्ड, इफ यू हैव अ 1 gallon of beautiful milk from Wawa, you go to Wawa and get a beautiful milk and put 1 spoon of mud inside there. Will anybody drink that? ऐसी बात है ये. दिव्य भक्ति में ये काम, क्रोध, लोभ, आशा, तृष्णा, ईर्ष्या, राग, द्वेष, किसी के साथ अधर्म करना, ये जुगार, गैम्बलिंग, ऑल दीज थिंग्स, किसका पैसा लेना, किसकी चोरी करनी, ये सब क्या है? इट इज मड थ्रोन इनसाइड मिल्क. इसमें से इट इज पोल्यूशन. It pollutes the devotion. Devotion is at such, it can reach a stage where it has to be it must not be polluted. और इसके लिए शूरवीर, इसके लिए भगवान की भक्ति दृढ़ होनी चाहिए, धार्मिक जीवन होना चाहिए. Some people, for short gains, they want to harm others. There's no chance of ever escaping out of the Brahmand by harming even one person. By gaining, by harming somebody else. If you think that God is free to take somebody, no. That karma will open up in such a way and the person will be stuck for thousands more lifetimes. एक भी जीव के साथ हम राग द्वेष रखेंगे, harm रखेंगे, negative वस्तु रखेंगे, if we have benefited by harming somebody, doorway into moksha is closed. There's no chance of moksha. Doesn't matter if somebody knows millions verses of all the scriptures. No, sorry. There is a standard that is at the highest level. And if you want to reach outside the Brahman into the Bhagavad Dham, there is a standard to be met. And one of the standards is not to benefit by harming somebody else. कभी भी नहीं. And किसी का advantage भी नहीं लेना. That's another problem that happens in the world. Some people poor, some people are destitute, this and that. To take advantage of them and to benefit. महापाप है. महापाप. इसमें से अधोगति होती है. बहुत खराब कर्म आता है इसमें से. मुक्ति तो होगी भी नहीं. So those are all negative things. We don't want to talk about that. We want to keep attention on the highest of truths. But those are the facts. जो सत्य है वो सत्य ही है. Not because of Sachin. Not because Sachin is saying so. Because वो भगवान और भगवान के जो संत है उनकी कृपा से, उनकी दया से, उनकी दृष्टि में ये जो सत्य है वो सत्य ही है. और उनका अवतरण It is to open the doorway into the Bhagavad Dham, to take the Jivatma out of its degraded state, out of its fallen state, out of its entangled state in the material energy, and place the Jivatma at the lotus Divya Charanarvind, at the divine feet of Bhagavan Sri Krishna Paramatma. With that, let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Medeva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalde Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanitrambake Devi Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shriman Narayanaya Namo Namaha. Om Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Hrim Svaha.